3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Ian Walsh here, Hard Money Bankers, joined with my partners Josh and Ryan from Hard Money Bankers. What's happening, guys?
Yo.
We have a very special guest on today, and we've had him on before, but he's back for more. So, John Clidy, thank you so much for being on. I'd like to go over your background when you get a chance as well.
Good. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited.
Let me just give a little background to you, John. Just you've got quite a. So this is going to sound like I'm reading it because I am reading it because you have like quite a resume background, and I don't want to mess it up. So John was local to where we live in the Philadelphia region. I'm sure his heart is still there, but like everybody else, he lives in a pretty sweet place in Florida now. So I think all of us eventually will be heading down that way. But John's been in business for more than 2 decades. He started in real estate in 1999, having a dual career as a detective sergeant in New Jersey State Police. Today, John is involved in real estate with numerous ways. He's the KWRI Division Leader, Regional Director of the Greater PA Region, operating principal of Keller Realty, Washington Township, and investor in 8 additional market centers in PA, NJ, and DE. John is the owner of the Clidy Group that sold over 4,000 homes since 1999, investor in real estate himself. Also the author of Leaving Six Figures, which is a really cool book. And a lot of people that watch this, John got to quote unquote live the dream, and he wanted to put it out there for everybody. So with that said, John, it's a pleasure to have you on.
I thankfully I didn't hold my breath during that one. I would have been dead.
Yeah. So what's going on, man? You're in Florida now, but you're influencing real estate across the entire nation. So what have you been seeing in the market? I mean, last time we were on, I think the market was either just turning or had just turned or just changed. Like at the higher level, what are you telling people? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I think I didn't have the role that I have now, but being a division leader. So I lead other states now. I'm leading like Dakotas and Illinois and Wisconsin and actually Alaska and
okay, all right.
State of Washington and all that. So I am seeing a different market and different. So my conversations with leaders are definitely a little bit different. Like I'm like in California, they are like in Washington State, they've been seeing it for a while. So they're kind of starting to maybe see a little bit of a rebound, and some of the Midwest is still kind of in it. And then I don't know. I guess you guys, I see in the East Coast that it's starting to be a little bit better because our profit's been better. So like our profit has kind of, the last couple months have seen, I think in my one office, we had I think our second best profit month ever.
Ever? Like even during the COVID boom?
Ever. Now that office has almost 600 agents in it, and we've grown immensely over the last few years there. So that's part of it. Our
Sure.
growth has been amazing, but we also are seeing a lot more closings. What I also see trending is these massive teams. So, there's only, a handful of agents are doing a lot of the business, right? So you're starting to see that and the GCIs being suppressed. So you're seeing that too, right? I think I've seen an average, even in our company, that, it's trending like 2.59% now, something like that. So it's, and I think like 2 years ago it was like 2.75 or something like that. So it's, it's every year it's coming down and down and down. So that's something I think every owner, realtor, I don't care, and NAR, everyone should be paying attention to that suppression of the GCI of the actual agent commission too. So, but I think we're on a little bit of a nice little rebound, and then the fourth quarter I think is a mystery to all of us. I'm hearing all kinds of rumors. I'm seeing mortgage guys are telling me, hey, I think it's going to be great. I think that the rates are going to come, around 5. And then I'm hearing some people think it's going to be a bloodbath. like real estate professionals thinks the 4th and 1st are going to be a bloodbath, and it's going to be one of the worst.
Why would they call for a bloodbath? I don't see why a bloodbath.
I think from what I'm hearing, they think the government and some of this stuff going on that we don't even know about is going to come to fruition and cause, I guess you could say, stupidity on our part. But I don't, I'm not if I was a mind reader, I would probably already hit the mega ball or hit some kind of ball.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting what you just pointed out, because that is the range of the atmosphere right now in real estate, right? You have a handful of people who are like, I think it's going to start turning up. And then you got a handful of people that are like, brace for impact, right? Like, what is it, right? Because that's such an opposite, conflicting stance, really.
John, do you think, let's take the politics out of it. Let's say that, we don't have people with pitchforks running through Washington, right? What do you think that the market does then? Because I would agree that the possibility of that happening, it's not zero anymore, but it's also not 40 or 50%, right? It could happen, but it's unlikely. So I've been such a Debbie Downer on the future of the market. And now I feel like we've reached a point where you only have 3 to 5 offers on a property instead of 20, and people are buying at high interest rates, and it's likely their rates are going to come down. But now I feel like I'm second guessing myself because everybody else is seeing the sky fall. I don't know. It's been nuts.
Yeah. Where do you think, John? Josh is basically, where do you think it's going? You personally, if you just had to guess, because you have a pretty good overview of everything.
I'm an investor too. I'm still being very aggressive now because I'm seeing the prices still for good product do well. I would say when September comes, I don't know if I'm going to be that aggressive, but I think from now, if I can get a good deal, I'm going to continue to be very aggressive in purchasing a home. The rates are not scaring me. The buyer pool hasn't scared me because I think last week we had one of our listings. I think they had 40 people at the open house. So it's still happening. Someone's society or people have made enough money, or their families made enough. Something has happened that people are not afraid of the rates and have enough money to put down on a house that makes sense for them and their family now, where before they would be scared by the rates or be scared by the talk. So for me, I think I'm going to play it. I'm going to play aggressive now, and then I'm going to be I don't know if I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to be cautious, but still acting until probably Thanksgiving-ish or right around then. And then I'm going to just take the best deals that come my way and not be that, concerned. So I want to see how the first quarter plays out a little bit for me. And I think from an agent, that's an investor perspective. From an agent perspective, the best people win. So meaning that no matter what, this is a market where you better have good photographs, and you better have a good sales pitch, and you better be professional, and you better know your market. You should be the economist of choice for your entire neighborhood your niche or whatever business you're in or whatever communities you're farming. And those folks will be fine. That's why I said that the top people are really getting systems, and they're putting their stakes in the ground and saying, we got this. And, if you come in you allowed to curse on this show?
Absolutely.
If you come in half-ass, you're not going to last. And you can quote that, right? Half-ass, you don't last.
Ooh, is that John Clidy special? Oh, man, we should have a quote board. That's a good one.
You got to put it on a t-shirt.
But you got to have a little bit of Philadelphia, New Jersey accent going when you say it, or it doesn't go together the same. You got to say,
I got water.
Yeah.
And
that's true. Yeah.
I heard a quote today that I loved, and I don't know if it's a leader quote or what you guys would consider it, but I was like, oh my, what was it? I was listening to Ed Milet, and he was interviewing Tom Patterson, the guy who created Tommy Boy underwears. Oh, in times of change, experience can be your worst enemy. And I guess that's where I started thinking, like, the old school agents, the folks like maybe even me, like if I try to act like experience matters, I'm going to get eaten alive, because you see these young guys coming in with ideas that I've never even heard of. And you wonder why they just got like 20 listings last month, or you wonder why they have this amazing following, like on social media, and they're popping 3 or 4, customers a week or a day or whatever. And so I think you got to stop thinking like you used to, and you got to start thinking like, what do people need? What do people want? What do people want to listen to? And that goes for any business, including real estate, that you got to figure out how you look cool, and what you do to get people to say yes to you. And I don't think it matters how old you are. I seen a young guy the other day. I think he's 24 years old, and I think he's his third year. He's going to do $40 million in sales.
Wow.
in a competitive DC metro area. And he's telling me he's going to do like 75 next year. Like he said, he already has the systems laid out, and he's on his way to $100 million in sales. So I think strong people are going to be fine. People that run good business will be fine regardless of what the heck happens in DC or Washington or in your local market. And people that half-ass it are going to be like probably going back to another business, like, leaving 6 figures, right? They might be going back to 6 figures.
Back to 6 figures, the sequel to leaving 6 figures. Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting point. So, I get that call a lot. We get thousands of calls every year that we all field. And one of the things people always like to say is, I've been in business for 20 years, 30 years. And my thought process is like, I don't care. Like, who cares, right? It's like, what's your bottom line? How many transactions are you doing? Because you have, I think the first time I bumped into somebody that really impressed me the way you're talking about was a wholesaler in Philadelphia when he was like 24, 25. I started to watch. It's like there's a new version of like people out right now, just like AI came along. The bridge of people that can now take information that took 15, 20 years of technology to get to like you or I, they can get it in a minute, and then they can bridge it all together, put the systems together. And this individual did that. His name's George. And I remember watching George, and I'm like, hey man, you have an X factor. Like, you are putting this, I don't know how you understand these. That took me 5 years to understand, and you're understanding it in 6 months. And what you're saying is you're seeing this kind of talent popping up all over the place because it's the norm, right? Everybody understands technology now. Everybody understands it. The reality is, and I thought about this myself, and this is probably every generation before us. I look at this and go, okay, it's my time. It's my time to become obsolete. Did I make enough money along the way? Like, am I cool with that? Because look at your parents. Look at the parents before them, right? They don't know how to turn on a computer. They become obsolete to the workforce. We are now in a shift from the age of probably, if you're between 30 and 50, where the reality is, like, unless you're really, really hyper aggressive with technology, I think you're on your way to obsolescence. So hopefully you made enough money to made a cash grab, know how to invest it, because you're probably not going to be competing with that 24-year-old building out 40 million in sales in 2 years. I don't plan on doing it. The effort and like maybe just the simple brain capacity to do that seems like a new generation is shifting in. I don't know if you feel that way, but I've like come to understand that, like, okay, like make your money and hold on to it and then learn how to invest it, because I'm not going to be rebuilding something like that. And the talent level out there right now, I like to say, is different, but I think it's just, it came up with technology. These are the kids, and not kids, these are the adults that came up with technology, and they get it. Like, they really get it. I don't know if you see that across, like, you sound like you see that right now going on.
Yeah. I mean, you see it with leaders, owners, you see it happening. I literally just had this conversation with one of my colleagues, and I was saying to her that, the way it should work, right? Like, just take my regional job. I'll be 10 years there. I have a heir apparent and the leader that's behind me per se. And the way it should happen is I get out of her way, right? I get an opportunity, whatever that is, equity, whatever. And then she comes in and she takes over where I left off and makes it even better, right? You don't see that for some reason, because some people are holding on to their their businesses, and that could be realtor business, that could be real estate office business, that could be office managers or whatever. They're holding on instead of letting new ideas and new people come in and getting out of the way so that they could go and take it to the next level. And like you said, hopefully along the way you accumulated some net worth, and you have some passive income streams. And thankfully for me, I've done that, and I'm pretty much ready to move out of the way and have like maybe a different opportunity, so that someone else can come in with new ideas. And I think that's what smart people see that. So I don't really need to be obsolete. I just need to replace myself with someone that could take the reins. And I got to paint like Gary Keller. I got to paint a big enough opportunity for that individual that they could still see themselves excel inside of my world. And they could be 25 or 26 or 27. And I still get to reap the rewards of it. But again, I need to be able to show them how big this world can be, because these young folks think really big and really fast, and so that I think if you do that, you could set yourself up for success and still be relevant throughout, and that's kind of what I've done now. That's why I'm able to be in Florida, because I got amazing people that work for me, and they don't need me. I can cast visions, and I could hold accountability and make sure that they're doing what they say they want to do, and make sure they have a wealth plan, and make sure that they're being smart with their money, and then get out of their way. That's what I need to do.
Yeah, it lets you. I think like early on in business, when you start getting contracts, whether it's equity contracts or partnership contracts, a lot of times at the beginning, it's more of like it's a piece of that to like have that piece, but you're still a working piece. You don't really get to exercise the part that you're talking about now, which is like hey, I'm not afraid. I have no ego. I'm not defending anything, because ultimately, if I step aside and help this person build it, there's still a contract tying me into this money, and I'm getting paid either way, right? I feel like there's like a phase to like a growth phase of like partnership where you kind of come into that, like recognizing that, which sounds like is where you are in your career, which is like, look, I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to fear. I have nothing to defend, because I'm financially protected. And, you might not be thinking about that 10 years ago when you're first signing an equity piece or a partnership. It's more like, hey, I made partner. Now I'm a working partner. You're not thinking about this moment 10 years down the line. And now you are, because you're like, well, might as well just leave it better, because I have nothing to like hold on to or defend that I have to, because I'm signed in, right? Like I'm partner, I'm equity shares or whatever, you've got going on. And I think that's like a growth of business that, early partnership, I didn't think of stuff like that early on. That it didn't occur to me until like, I guess now in my life.
You got to have the right mindset for it, right? I think that's kind of what John said, is some people don't, and they just hold on to it.
Right.
And they really are just hindering themselves and their business, right? You got to be able to let talent that you put in place do why you put them there, right? They're going to grow and you're going to grow. It's just like a mutual symbiotic relationship. And that's what that's probably why you're in the role you're in, John, because you're good at it. Like you have that mentality, like, this is what I want to do. So, and you're doing it.
Well, my part of my role now is to lead leaders, to maybe help leaders see the path when they don't see it. And the problem with most successful people that have been successful for so many years is sometimes, you see it like Michael Jordan. You could look at Tom Brady, whoever, right? It comes a time where you probably should step away, and you're like, one more year. I don't think it's any different for these worlds. And part of my role is being able to have that, I guess the Kiyosaki quadrant conversation. If you think about it, right? You have the E quadrant, right? The S quadrant, you have the I and the B. And a lot of people think that they're in the B quadrant, which stands for business, and they're self-employed, meaning that they can't really step away because they haven't hired and they haven't really created a business worth owning, or and all the pieces and systems around it where they can go away. So, my conversation with them is, how about if we could figure out a way to allow you to step away? And are you willing to step away? And what are the steps that you need to take to make sure that you can step away? Because, that fear, and again, some people think they're at B and they're really at S, and being able to have that conversation with someone without making them feel horrible is not easy, right? Like really tell someone like, if something happened to you, your business is done. Like telling them that probably would not be a good idea. So you got to roundabout tell them like through maybe numbers and probably multiple conversations to build a rapport, a relationship that truly you are the business. And if you stop, it's done. So let's make it where it doesn't need you to coexist. Right. And that's the conversation you have with those folks.
Yeah, that takes some finesse, I'm sure, especially when there's an ego on the other side thinking they're really important. You got to like really finesse your way into that one. So, all right, so let's do this. Let's switch it up a little bit because I know we're on time, and John's probably got like a serious pickleball game to get to pretty soon, or at least practice, right, John?
That'll be early in the morning for pickleball. It's too hot.
So you're done. Oh yeah, you're done. Okay. So we're adding to the show. We've been just adding. So we added from the last one. I did prep John because I didn't want to blindside him. We're adding an uncomfortable question. So Ryan, this will be for us to do our next show. We'll have like a clip that comes up that says like uncomfortable question, right? And then it'll have some really uncomfortable scenario that like something happens, and then it'll clip back to the person. So this is the second time we're doing this. So I'm gonna bring up a few topics that I wrote down. John, you can pick one of the topics that you want me to ask you the question on. I'm also leaving you a scapegoat question in case anything is too ugly. You can choose either artificial intelligence, my question about artificial intelligence, my question about Robert Kennedy Jr. running for president, the UFO hearings happening today, the Sanda rally, which you don't know what that is, but I will tell you if you want to opt into that. Or your scapegoat question is we can talk about the NFL's running back situation right now. Which one would you like a question on?
I actually like a few of those topics, but I'll never turn down football. So we can go with the football.
Oh, he bailed. Okay, so Saquon Barkley took the contract. Ryan, I assume you knew this. Ryan's a Giants.
Of course.
Fan. Yeah. Okay. So Saquon. So for
your season is saved.
Yeah, your season is saved. Sure. So in the NFL right now, the running backs are realizing that they are very replaceable, and they're all trying to quote unquote make a stand. So they decided they were going to do a Zoom call together. So you have a bunch of NFL running backs, which I really hope there was attorneys and agents on this call, because this could get really out of hand quickly, but I don't know what happened. So there was a bunch of NFL players saying running backs are not being paid. They're not getting the contracts that everybody else is getting. And basically I think the average person is saying, look, like you're super replaceable, whether you know it or not. Like your next man up is pretty easy at running back. What are your thoughts on how this is going to play out? Are wide receivers just going to feast this year, John, or you think it's just going to blow over and running backs will just do their job and get back in there? What's your take on this?
Well, the first thing is, you guys, anyone here gamble?
Yes. I don't know if Josh does. Me and Ryan as frequently as possible.
Well, Josh, I'll teach you a little bit. The house always wins.
That's why I don't play. I always lose.
So the running back should know better when you start to collude and to pressure the big billionaire owners. That's never good. So that's the first one. The second one is, statistics show that they get hurt often and they only have a certain shelf life. So I hate to say it, but it's every man and women for themselves in that sport. And you just got to have your agent do their job, and you start colluding and doing that. I mean, it's just not a smart thing to do in any, when you're dealing with owners of that power. I mean, they have lobbyists, they have everybody under their gun. So, you don't play that game with them. And he learned really fast what happens.
Yeah, Saquon jump back in. I think everybody saw Le'Veon Bell's situation, and they're like, look, guys, like the dude left like $12 million on the table and walked away from that. I'm not leaving $12 million. Like, is it $12 million or zero? Just like, I just don't see, guys. I think it blows over. Especially, I think because Saquon Barkley took the contract, like if he didn't take that and they tried to hold out, it could have gotten a little messy. But every single year, every team, there's teams that have that running back we didn't hear about. There was the James Conner. There was like, there is a guy right behind you ready to eat, right? It's not like if you're out, it couldn't happen again. So let alone the power of Jerry Jones and you know, Arthur and like those guys would just chew you up, like you said. So
I'm guessing Saquon went on the Zoom call for like 5 minutes. He's like,
right.
shit, I got to go sign this contract.
Yeah, he was probably like he probably had like the contract next to him, and he's just like, you know, I'm listening, I'm totally listening. He just signed and sent it off.
And how many guys even showed up knowing what I just said, like saying like, I don't want to be known as like,
yes,
I'm trying to. So he probably seen the amount of people that were trying to, you know, it's like almost like, all right, guys, you with me? Come on. And you're like, oh no,
where'd everybody go?
There's just nobody behind you. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. That's probably because you don't want to be like, were you in that meeting? Were you in that meeting? Everybody's like, nope, I wasn't there. So, all right, so we'll take that. That's a good question. I want to do these on the show because I think I would love for you to have taken RFK. I would love to see your picture on that.
Well, this to say, I was going with AI because I watched the podcast with Joe Rogan and what's his name? I forgot his name. The guy, the electric car. Who is
Elon Musk?
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I think they were smoking pot and drinking bourbon, but the information was just insane. So if you haven't seen that podcast, watch it. It's like a couple hours, so be ready to listen for a while. But it's
fantastic and terrifying.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, fantastically terrifying.
Oh, yeah, if you want to be scared about your future, watch that.
Yeah, perfect. On that note, we will we'll catch up with you another time. So thanks, John. I appreciate having you, man, and I'm sure we'll do it again. And enjoy pickleball.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
All right, guys.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
All right, see you.
Bye-bye.